So for the last few works I've directed on Lila dance, I've had a growing fascination with the human condition and the means by which it's possible to express facets of humanity within a theatrical context. I've really been interested in capturing both the primal nature of humanity in terms of our animal needs, our sense of urgency, our gut responses, our reaction speed, and how in humans these responses also met with a kind of intelligent reasoning, I suppose, so our ability to question, our logical thought, the way that we think things through that's different from animals. And I have developed a kind of interest in how both these sides meet to form our humanity. And what's interesting is how this tension between these two sides meet in a relationship and how this forms. And really, that tension is what creates the content of most of my work. Waiting for Godot by Sameul Beckett, arguably one of the most important plays of the 20th century. It's an existentialist play about two men. We don't know where they are, we don't know how they got there, but we know they're waiting. They're waiting for a man called Godot to arrive, and therein lies the plot. He doesn't arrive, but there's a sense of hope that he will. And in that space of waiting, there's so much space that what happens in the waiting is that we see the men living for what they are. And they go through every spectrum of feeling possible, from hope to hopelessness, to boredom, frustration, pain, anger. But it's all built around a kind of theatre of the absurd. So there's also a very kind of comical element, and it creates such a kind of bittersweet tension in the work that's really fascinating and interesting to explore. We're looking at the themes and we're looking at the narrative, and we're using props and items of scenery to set the scene. I hope that it's going to be true to say that our interpretation of the play expresses something of Sameul Beckett's truth, of his own vision of the play. But there's a twist. We're putting it in our own context, and we're putting it in our own situation. The characters in the dance work, in Lila's work, are not the characters from Godot, but they are characters, and they do borrow some of the mannerisms and some of the traits of the characters in Godot itself. So in a world where nothing happens and well, nothing significant happens, it seems to give enough space for life to happen in its true form. And we see the characters' lives for what they are, and if you believe it's a godless land, which I suppose arguably it feels like a godless land, where nothing happens, the characters have nothing to do really but to wait for salvation, or maybe an illusion of salvation would be truer to say. So what happens in that situation is that things become very important to them, people become important to them, their hats, their shoes become important to them because there's nothing else, so they gain significance. The play, although written in the 1950s, is actually set in a kind of time vacuum, so it is relevant today. It's relevant of days gone by, and it's relevant to the future. And that, as a contemporary dance company, is kind of an interesting twist, is that I feel that Beckett is encouraging interpretation in terms of how we enter this situation. So it does give us freedom to handle the text poetically, and it also gives us the freedom to handle it with relevance to today's situations and today's circumstances, so that we do have kind of one head looking back to what he was trying to achieve then, but also kind of one turned directly towards today and tomorrow, and making it relevant to today's audience. The three artistic directors for Lila Dance, Carrie Whitaker, Dougie Evans on sound, and myself, Abi Mortimer, have been researching this idea for quite a while now, and we've made the piece on our youth company, the Mayakaras, and so we're coming to this research and development period really on the back of some long thoughts. We have a fantastic cast. Two members, Kai Downham and Joe Darby, were in fact Mayakaras in days gone by, and have now gone away and done their own things and have returned and have lots of things to offer, but have a very clear understanding of Lila's language, and that's a really exciting position for us to be in now, to use them at this point in their careers. The other dancer, Aya Kobayashi, worked for us in Tracker, and we're delighted to have her on board to do this project with us.